Wild Bob Ronnie
sure
show.
what we're on,
Yeah.
but we get you some of it if you want to.
Lubbock, Tennessee, USA, and we're sitting ready and prime to do all sorts of mischief today.
Another streamlined edition of the Wild Bob Ronnie Show.
In fact, the best news we had all day is that Digger Wilson is back at work. And we told him we was going to say something about him nice on the show today.
Yes.
We'll think of something. Just hang around. I said, we'll think of something. We have to make it up, won't we?
We ain't thought of nothing yet, but we will before the show's over.
Ronnie, this right here, is this your pet mosquito?
I don't know. Is that the one that bit me in the back?
I don't know. I tried to pet him, and I must have pet him too hard, and the Lord has called him home, it looks like.
Well, praise glory.
Anyhow.
What else is going on around these parts?
Well, there's a lot going on. I just listened to, you hear all kinds of these, everybody's got a pitch on a story. And Dr. Carson made a comment about this shooting out there in Oregon. And people are jumping all over him about it.
Yeah.
Because he suggested, or well, he said that the thing to do or whatever is attack. Don't let them line you up. But did you send another home?
I don't know. I hope so.
If you're in a situation like that, to get this lining you up and shoot you, he was absolutely right. You ain't got nothing to lose by attacking that guy.
Isn't that right?
And take a little of your frustration out on him. Once he, it ain't nothing. Your natural instincts, if you get your legs knocked out from under you, you're going to try to balance yourself. I mean, you can't overcome it. It's like a sneeze. If you knock a guy's legs out or knock him off balance, he's going to try to get balanced. And while he's taking that half a second, it's time to do a number on him.
Right.
But people get down on him for that. What's your alternative? Stand there and get shot? Just
you have one choice.
You can have him. Take him home with you.
Did you? Like I say, he can't shoot one at a time, and if you race him, if you got anybody else that's gonna move, you can take him
but
down.
Nobody wants to be the first one down.
Right.
Well, you know, Kelsey Grammer said that if they'd start, wondered if they'd start performing abortions with a pistol, if they'd have fewer abortions.
Well, most people don't realize.
I don't think there was a thing wrong with what he said and the way he said it, but the mainstream media is so upset that you have a black man that's a conservative and that's making his feelings known.
Let me tell you what's going on. They didn't say nothing about him when he was way back yonder. He's getting up there now, and they're getting a little worried about him because they figure Trump ain't going to last, and they're afraid Carson is, and they're trying to head him off.
Well, people don't. What they need to do, also, people need to be educated. There's how a weapon works and how that you can neutralize a weapon. It's a semi-automatic. If you can get, if any 2 or 3 of them people attack that guy, and one person can get their hand on that gun, he'll get off 1 round. You can get a hand on it.
You remember when after Lee Harvey Oswald shot Kennedy and shot that Officer Tippit, they apprehended him in a theater. And the guy that got him walked down there and he pulled a pistol out, a hammer type pistol.
Yeah.
And the guy slid.
Put his hand right.
Yep. And disarmed him.
Yeah.
He got a whooping over that. He looked like he disarmed him with his fist.
Well, we was taught that. We was taught that if you can get your hand on that weapon and get where that hammer's back, if somebody's got the hammer back, and if they ain't got the hammer back, and you can get a hold of it, they can't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
And if it's a semi-automatic,
I say that's a semi-automatic weapon, you know, and it takes a little bit of time to click.
Well, a double action.
Semi-automatic's got a long pull too.
Yeah. But also, if you can get your hand on that weapon serves as a lever. The only grip he's got on it is the grip on it. If you can get a hold of the pistol, you can use the leverage to turn it toward him.
Right.
Well,
And then if it goes off,
most people go with their hand out like that
Yeah.
instead of like this.
right?
And another thing they do, if they're real cool, they turn it sideways.
Oh yeah, sideways. That's in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
That's all that
Have
is.
to do like one time years ago, and I'm not brave by any means, but I had some drunks that had my restaurant manager around the neck and with a pistol pointed to his head. I had already knocked his buddy out with a pole I had, and I started walking close to him. He started kind of going back and forth between me and the one he had, Donald was his name, had his arm around, you know, and I got a little closer, and when I got close enough and he moved that thing away from me, I hit him in the head with one of these knife sharpeners, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you sharpen a knife on. I hit him right here, and I cut him all the way down across his face and all the way through his scalp. I permanently
You gave him a tattoo, huh?
his face up permanently. Of course, I knocked him cold as a cucumber too, but I mean, I guess he's still living. He'd walk around with that scarred face.
Well, what are you doing? Don't you know you're supposed to take the knife instead of the knife sharpener? That's the way. Bring a knife sharpener.
I couldn't find nothing. I couldn't find nothing but a knife sharpener, and when I come out with that knife sharpener. And like I say, when he moved that thing, he didn't have it on either one of them. I hit him right on top of the head with that thing. So,
Hell, I hear all this sheer crap about gun control. The people, they jump to what they call that knee-jerk reactions. Whenever they want to talk gun control, the first thing I want them to do is disarm these people, the Secret Service or whoever it is that guards the president, and let him walk around here a little bit without any protection.
I can't figure out why that they think passing a new law, that's the solution to everything, want to pass a new law. If they would enforce the ones they've got, they wouldn't have no bad guys with guns. You can't do that, but if they could, I mean, why not? There's a law against murder. What's the use of passing another?
The president.
Now, let me tell you what it all boils down to is that the government is afraid of the people that are armed. And the Second Amendment was put in there not so you could hunt, not so you could protect your house, not so you could protect your neighbors, but so you could protect yourself against the government. That's the reason the Second Amendment was put into the Constitution. And the government authorities are so afraid of an armed population, and that's the reason they keep trying to take the guns away, knowing they're only going to take them away from the honest people.
I'll tell you what gets me is whenever they come out and don't want to take the guns away from hunters, and then they go back to the Second Amendment and say guns are just for militia. Well, how many militias you ever took a deer hunting with you? Have you?
No, but it's not really. There's a break between it says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Then it says a well-regulated militia is now. They try to run it all together.
But they talk about that was intended for a well-regulated militia, and we don't want to take the guns away from the hunters. Well, you can't take a militia hunting with you, is all I got to say.
Right.
I'm still going back to First Amendment that they put so much faith in, and get the freedom of speech unless you say something they don't like, and freedom of press unless you write something they don't like, and freedom of religion unless you believe something they don't. I mean, they're just all up in arms over that, but it plainly says that Congress shall make no laws. It don't say the city council can.
Right.
It does not put any qualification.
There's no way they could have framed it any stronger than the way they framed it in the Second Amendment.
Yep.
It says, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, period.
Yep.
Well, I heard Obama speak the other night, and I noticed how he changes words. He used the word gun safety. instead of gun control. You talk about, how stupid does he think we are? That we don't know the difference between gun control and gun safety? But anyhow, he referenced Australia. Australia confiscated guns.
They had a murder there the next day.
Well, he references that what we should do is what Australia done. And if that's basically saying that the guns should be confiscated. If a country confiscates the guns, and then this guy says, "Here, we ought to do what they done," what's he saying? He's saying we should confiscate them. Short and simple.
Well, you just are going to make more.
Well,
you're going to make more criminals the more laws you pass whenever you're outlawing something that don't need to be outlawed.
Well, I hate to see it come, but
if you notice, all of the mass killings since 1990, with the exception of 2, have happened in a gun-free zone. Now, if it's a gun-free zone and a law will keep people from killing people, then that should not have happened in the gun-free zone.
It don't make any sense. If you don't want to carry a gun, that's your business. If you don't want to carry one, if you want to walk out there or whatever else,
but
you want to be.
If you want to carry one, that's your
business.
That's
business too. That's
and it's
right.
not the government's business, because the Constitution says you have the right to bear arms without any infringement. That means everybody has the right to bear arms, and if you don't, then the government's got to prove why you don't have that right.
If you take a look at those people in Oregon, somebody probably called 911 just as soon as things started happening. And the police station was just down the street, I reckon, and they was probably there within 2 or 3 minutes, or whatever time it took them. It don't make no difference what the timing was. Right. The harm was already done. Right. What the heck's the use?
Right.
You know, why didn't they just stay there and all they came to do was mop up and do the paperwork? And if I ain't mistaken, I'll be the guy shot himself, I believe, is what I'm hearing. So it makes no sense.
We have a very unique situation here with our Constitution, giving everybody that is a citizen, and I think of legal age, the right to bear arms without any infringement, unless the government can prove you should not have a gun.
Well, I thought of a thing that's way out.
You have to prove to the government that you got the right to carry a gun.
I thought of something, and I guess it's a little facetious. It's way out there in the left field. Whenever you fight fire with fire, but I thought maybe they ought to put a standing reward of, say, of $1 million to anybody that takes out an active shooter. Now I know this is out there in left field and ain't nothing makes any sense about it, but if you've got an active shooter, how many people do you think would go ready to take one down?
I have no idea.
I don't either, but
well, if you've got a gun pulled on you and you're convinced you're going to be shot,
what have you got to lose?
Yeah, that's what I say. Now, the first one he shoots, you know, maybe he's just all talk. But if he shoots a guy beside of you, you can just pretty well know he ain't going to have a lot of hesitation shooting you. If you're going to get shot, you might want to have a little choice of where he shoots you. If you're just standing still, he can aim better. Carson is right. You'd be better off trying to take him down. Maybe you'll get a little help.
Well, back in the early 90s, I believe, this lady and her mother and dad were eating in a restaurant in Texas. And this shooter came in and killed her mom and dad. And if she had had a gun with her, she would have took him out before he hurt anybody.
But she left it in the car because they had a no-gun thing.
Yeah, left it in the car because it said no guns allowed. Of course, I can't understand why that guy that was doing the shooting brought his in. Because
he didn't read. He didn't read the sign.
He couldn't read right.
I guess that's it.
Okay.
Does that kind of show how stupid we are?
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Some people don't have enough sense to start an argument anyway. I ain't no use talking to them people. Anybody dumb enough to believe that stuff, you can't argue with them. You can't educate them. A fool was born that way, and they'll die that way.
Right.
I agree, and I think we've talked the thing to death. if Obama, if he wants to take the guns, why don't he just sign a piece of paper and say, we're taking them up, and let's see where it goes to?
Well, what you need to do, instead of trying to convince somebody how stupid they are, you just say, this is the way it is, and there ain't no use me fooling with you, because you're too stupid to understand the argument.
My granddad had a saying.
Well, I think the Congress up there, and members of Congress, and the spokesmen for the government ought to have enough guts to stand up and say, look, we have a Constitution that guarantees the right to bear arms, that we're tired of all this dilly-dallying around with it and trying to change it, you know. And when Trump come out and said he was going to change the Fourth Amendment, and everybody said he was crazy, I said to myself, well, look what they have done to the Second Amendment. If they can distort the meaning of the Second Amendment as much as they have, then certainly they can do something about these anchor babies that's permitted under the Fourth Amendment. So if they want to dick around and change one of our constitutional amendments, let them work on the Fourth Amendment rather than the Second Amendment.
Well, fellas, we talk about it a lot, and like I don't see as where we're getting anywhere on it. You'd be surprised, well, just if you listen to the news, of how many of our elected officials think exactly like Obama. And I heard, I reckon, I haven't heard the news lately, but I reckon he was going to go out to Oregon to try to milk a little publicity out of this thing. And it kind of...
Well, you know, since that guy that you got stabbed, you know, the one that was on the train, Obama's going to do away with all pocket knives.
Well, I'll tell you what, that guy that got stabbed, I wish he'd have been packing, because they wouldn't have had so much trouble trying to find these guys.
Right.
All they'd have done was follow the blood trail, and they'd have come to
them. Right, left them all laying there.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, he done a good job considering he was fighting 5 of them.
Yeah.
He's doing a darn good job.
Took about 3 of them out, too.
Yeah,
and
he was a moving...
a couple little old Asian guys, the ones that come out with their knives and stabbed him.
Well, that just kind of shows you where we're at and whatever. And but anyhow, I don't think...
Took about 3 of them. One of them didn't want no more after he hit him. He left.
Well, if he'd just had him a ball bat, would have been nice.
Yeah.
He could have hit a couple of home runs there, I believe.
Fungo bat. You want a fungo bat? Take me a fungo bat. I've worked up on all them heads.
That's right. Put a knot on a few of them. Anyhow, it amazes me, though, how many people... I guess it's fact. I guess the environment you're raised in, and whatever has a lot. Well, it does. You're formed by your environment and what you have to do to survive,
right? And
what you're willing to accept. And I'll have to admit, there are people that are just naturally wired different.
Right.
There's I hate to use the name like sheeple and things like that, but there are people who would not stand up and defend themselves for nothing, no matter what. But now a lot of them would defend their family, but not themselves. But they can't look far enough ahead. Well, let me go back. I heard a reference made to Dr. Carson as to what happened to the Jewish people and the Holocaust. And he said, had they been armed, that it would have been a whole lot different.
Well,
it would have been different.
The Third Reich took their arms away first.
Yeah, absolutely. They took their weapons first. And whenever
one thing I'd hate worse than to go to my grave knowing I'd shot somebody. That's going to my grave knowing somebody shot me when I could have shot them first.
Right. I understand. But I'll guarantee you the largest percentage of the people out there, I'm talking about of any age, would have been willing to defend their family before they would have stood there and watched their family shot in the back of the head and put in a hole. I don't care whatever. There was a large percentage of the people, they would fight, and it's proven the underground in France.
Right. Well, here here today when Obama is trying to limit the ability of citizens, good, honest citizens, obtaining weapons and being able to carry them. At the very time we need to start carrying more guns. Everybody needs to start carrying a gun right now.
What's that there town, Kennesaw, Georgia? Is that where everybody's required to have a gun?
Yeah.
And they got absolutely, I mean, just barely any crime there.
Right.
Lowest crime rate in the United States.
Yeah,
Well,
everybody ought to carry a gun right now, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because it's that dangerous out there.
I'll have to agree with you. And not only carry a gun, I would advise anyone out there, I don't care who it is, if you're going into a place, I don't care what it is, if it's the friendliest place, always be aware of what's around you. Anything you see that's unusual or whatever, check it out. Take a second and look. There's 1,000 things that you can just, well, the what is it they say you're not supposed to profile people? But no, that's law enforcement not allowed to profile them, huh? That's BS. And it's about as deep as you can get. If you don't, I profile everybody I see. I don't care who it is, and most of the dogs I guess I profile. But when I look, I ask myself a lot of questions. And a lot of them I don't want to go into, but anyhow, I can tell by the way a person moves. I can tell by the things that they do, and this is stuff people need to be taught.
How'd that come out? That pass?
It's kind of like me. Old dog saying, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." I said, boy, you ain't never bit nobody wagging your tail. He said,
Yeah.
"Not wagging your tail." I said, you ain't going to bite nobody wagging your tail and just walk right on by.
Well, most people have never seen a person or a situation go down.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about a bad situation. If a situation's going down and you're in an establishment, there's things that people do, but there's things that they don't do. When a person comes into an establishment, let's say like you're in a restaurant or anywhere, and somebody comes in, you can tell by their actions what their intentions are. It's like you're scratching right there. You got an itch.
Right.
If you was going to
Fleas.
fix, well, yeah, fleas. But if you was intended to do harm, or you got something, whatever, going down, your natural reflexes, you won't be itching. You know what I'm saying? A guy walks up, if he walks up to a place and he don't look at the menu, or he starts doing this or that, you can tell the ones that you've got need to watch.
Right.
And you can tell the way people are dressed, the way they move.
I was over in the rest area on the way to North Carolina one night. It's a warm summer night, and I was real sleepy, so I just pulled in there, rolled my window down. I was laying there with my head out the window. Of course, I had the 38 in his hand, laying there asleep. Some fella come up and said, "Hey, buddy," he says, "I need a couple $2 for a drink." I said, "Just get the hell out of here." And he left, you know.
Well, that took care of that conversation.
Huh?
That took care of that.
That took care of the conversation.
But
But you know, years ago, I'll tell you when it probably was in 1974, I had bought a new Jeep Grand Wagoneer. They don't make a Wagoneer anymore.
Yep.
And a Grand Wagoneer, luggage carry on top, 4-wheel drive, tow package,
yeah,
everything.
used to have one that had to have an extra gas tank just to drive it.
Just about. It had 300 and some cubic inches.
330s. No, 360. They
Okay,
had 360
All right.
in it.
Well, we were going to, I believe it was Columbus, Ohio, and we kind of got off the road somewhere, maybe looking for something to eat, and we went through one of those sections, and a crowd of Afro people, black people, started bumping into the car and wound up getting in the way. I kept going fast enough. They had to get out of the way. I wasn't going to stop, let them turn the car over or beat the car all to pieces. I kept going along. I was running along beside it, and so finally I just reached down. I had a Browning P38 automatic. I laid that thing up on the dashboard, you know, and I woke up and went back. I said, boy, you better back off. I said, I'm going to throw you all over this damn street. And I would have, because I had my family, and I believe I had all 4 of the children, because the baby girl was small. She was a little bitty thing. But yeah, they were a crowding and a bumping up against that wagoneer, trying to get where I would stop. And I kept pushing them out of the way, and I finally just speed up a little bit more, and I knocked several of them out of the way, you know. But I had 9 shots in that thing. I was going, I'd have used every one of them.
I was in a situation, me and my brother, we was in one of these big cities and getting in one of them sections, and we got down there, and I don't know, it was something to do with equipment or anyhow, but these people were actually playing cards on the center line in the highway. They were sitting in a circle of playing cards in the middle of the street. And I tell you, I looked around and said, my goodness, I said, if the stink starts here, we're in trouble. Because I said, there's more people than I got Rambo.
Right.
But anyhow.
You heard about one of these bad guys who was riding down the road down in Georgia one time, and he had this mean pit bull dog with him. And he saw this young boy walking down the street, had this little short yellow dog leading him on a leash down there. And he said, I'm just going to let my pit bull out and let him whip this dog, you know, for a little exercise. So he turned his pit bull loose, and he run up on the little yellow dog. The little yellow dog just opened his mouth up and about swallowed that pit bull. And the fellow said, good gracious, fellow, says, boy, says, what kind of dog you got there? He said, well, it was an alligator before we cut his tail off and painted him yellow.
Yeah.
Who won the ball game today? Didn't we play Georgia?
Today?
Or play tomorrow?
Well, that's good. I don't know.
Tomorrow, I think. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
We'll find out whether the alligators got us or not. The bulldogs. That's a bulldog. Yeah.
Well, I guess you fellas, are you aware that Dr. Carson's going to be in town Sunday?
What town?
Knoxville?
But you
I
know
know what you meant here. I figured he was coming to the ATV thing.
I mentioned to you a while ago, I called 562-5444, and I got Digger Wilson on the phone.
Well, he ain't, sir. He's at 5444.
Yeah, Digger is back out of the hospital. He said, I'm a survivor, and I should have told him great, because they don't bury no survivors, you know. As long as you're a survivor, you don't have to worry about nothing. And but we just tickled to death he's back, tickled to death he's at work, and we're just real pleased to hear that he is on the mend.
Yeah.
So if you need any propane gas, whether you need it for your forklift, or whether you need it for your heating, or whether you need it for cooking or grilling, or whatever you got, you just go down to Wilson's Propane down in Sawmill Holler, right where the road forks, right where Ellison Road comes in, and where they've tried to run over that stop sign, but they ain't moving that block of concrete too much. And just tell him that you want some of that good mesquite propane, and he'll fill you up. Got the best prices in town, and he will absolutely fill your container up, whether it be 20 pounder, 30 pounder, whatever it is. He might put 30 pounds in your 20 pound tank.
But he won't put 20 in your 30 and quit.
562-5444 is Wilson's Propane.
Yeah, and you might well go by Demery Mart and get you a pizza at 352-6111. You can pre-order it and go out and get it, and they keep adding stuff. They've got a whole store full of stuff.
You talking about one of them pizzas?
Yeah, they got a whole store full of stuff out there now. They deliver on the weekends out there in the neighborhood. 352-6111. It's Demery Mart, or Demery Mart and Deli, or you know, out there at Demery.
Well, you know, I've been up there to Demery Mart. You stop in there once in a while? Ronnie, you stop in up Demery Mart once in a while?
Stopped in there yesterday. I didn't get a pizza, but I was in there yesterday. They've got a whole bunch of stuff in there.
Right, yeah. They got good food all the way around up there. All sorts of good things right up there at Demery Mart. Right up on top of the hill, right where Sugar Holler intersects with Demery Road there. I guess you still call that Demery up there, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, and because that's Demery Mart.
I believe Shanghai Road's there too, isn't it?
352-6111.
Yeah. And what else is going on? Oh yeah, I was going to tell you that Dr. Carson is going to be at Books A Million there on Kingston Pike. It'll be from 6:30, I believe, till about 9:30 or 10 or something like that. Wow. He's going to do a book signing. And
Bring you to sign my book?
I'd say you would.
Or does he want me to buy one of his and get him to sign it?
Well, either way, you know, I would think that it would probably be an interesting book, most likely.
You talking about
Dr. Carson?
Oh, Dr. Carson.
Yeah, he's going to have a book signing over at Books A Million. They're on Kingston Pike.
Right, okay.
And
you going to be there?
From 6:30 till I believe 9.
Tonight?
No, Sunday night.
Sunday night, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I might drop back by there if I'm back from North Carolina, you know. Yeah. I have a 92-year-old brother that fought in Europe. He fought all over Europe. He come up through the southern portion with General Patton, and he was a courier for General Patton. And he was going up through, when they come on up into, I guess that's Belgium, and he got his end of his nose shot off. so he recuperating, and the war ended while he was recuperating.
Yeah.
And he re-upped and went into service over in Korea.
Oh man!
And he got hemmed up there in the reservoir up there when they had all them troops pinned down up there, and he like to froze to death up there, trying to stay alive till we brought him out. I believe that was General Dean that was in command of that group of soldiers up there, and of course General MacArthur was the commander at that time before we had an Army sergeant to fire an Army general. And you know, Truman was a sergeant in the Army, but he fired MacArthur.
Well, that I've read considerable. I've got an uncle who was there, and he got me interested in that. And I've read a lot about that thing, and I've talked to him. He shared some of his experiences there.
Right.
And he said something. He said people think that war is glamorous. He said there ain't nothing glamorous about combat.
No.
He said it's hard to believe. And I asked him, how do you deal with the stress? And he said everything you went to do, somebody was shooting at you. He said you could stop to eat, or you could do call to nature or whatever. Said somebody'd be shooting at you.
Right.
And he said what you do is you don't look ahead. Said you right there at that day or that moment.
You're worried about surviving.
You survive right then.
And all the people that get stressed is people that sit around and ain't got nothing to do.
Well, he told some stories of, and it's.
I had another good friend in the Second World War, and I got my plumbing license on him many years ago, and but he was one of the hard-headed people you ever see. And when the war ended in Japan, they were sending everybody home that wanted to go home. Everybody that was separated from the army, and he'd go out to the compound every day, and he thought they were calling some Greek or Italian guy, because they said he thought they were calling for Al Socrates, and what they were doing is saying all Socrates report to such and such a gate. And every day he set out that he missed 2 boats before he ever got to go home, sat down there, because he thought they were calling for Al Socrates to come to gate such and such, rather than all Socrates to come to. And bless his heart, he died about 2 or 3 years ago. I loved him to death. He was really a very interesting character. His name was Woody Lamb, Woodrow Lamb, and
Same, he wasn't Greek, he could come home early.
Yeah, Woody thought they were saying Al Socrates, and they were calling for all Socrates to report to the gate, get on the ship and go home, you know. He finally got out of there. And I had another old buddy by the name of Raskov. That wasn't his real name, but I called him Raskov. That spent, I believe, 4 or 5 years in the Army. And the whole 4 or 5 years he spent in the Army, he didn't do nothing but peel potatoes.
Oh, mate.
Now, Raskov's still living. I think I'll go see him when I go down to McLean. He's a very interesting character. Can you imagine peeling potatoes for 5 years?
Yeah, I don't know. It can't. I shoveled coal for a few years, but I've done a few other things in between. But
you know, I mentioned Saturday. You know, I run in the ditch.
Yeah.
And I run in the ditch. I was watching this new ambulance that Battle Care has, and that thing is pretty and cute. Have you seen it?
I don't know. They have not paid much attention.
I mean, it's a van type ambulance, and it's pretty and cute. You know, I told you I'd take that thing on a date and probably pick somebody up, and they wouldn't even have to be injured.
Well, if you can pick them up in that truck, you can surely get them the ambulance.
Me and little Brooks are going to go down the road to North Carolina.
Well, if you ain't back by next year, we'll close up for you.
I ain't back a while, you know, the Brooks didn't make it.
How long you going to be gone?
Hell, I'm going to try to do a quick turnaround. I need to go see my brother and do whatever I need to do there. Then I've got to go to a house I got down there and put a new lock on the door. And when I get that done, I'll probably just, at my young age, you know, just probably turn right around, you know, after making that 350-mile trip, just turn right around and make a 350-mile trip back. You know, man can't drive 700 miles in 24 hours and he ain't no good.
Yeah. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, it's just 30 mile an hour.
Huh?
That's just 30 mile an hour.
That's right, if you're on the road the whole 24 hours.
Yeah, Lord.
I used to push them old Mack, B-52 Macs down the road. A lot of them I drove had governors on it. You could trick them governors a little bit sometimes to get about 56, 57 miles an hour out of them. But usually they were somewhere around 53, 54 miles an hour is all you could get out of them.
I'll tell you what, I used to drive one, and that booter runs 76 miles an hour. And it was, I used to drive one that runs 76 miles an hour.
You didn't have a governor on it.
Well, it would top out at about 2125, 2150 RPM.
Right.
But it had a gear in it. It's the gearing is what gets it out there. And I'll tell you what, them things will totally beat you to death, suspension-wise.
Right.
And them old B-52s.
Where when you push the starter down, you almost trimmed your fingers on the toenails on the fan.
The starter. No, these things, we had about 3 of them, I believe. And I worked to rebuild them. You know, I'm talking about how you go through there and do everything to them. And kind of proud of them at the time, run them in parades and stuff like that.
What are we talking about?
B-52 Max. They had a B-51, a B-52, and a B-53.
Right.
I thought they was airplanes.
Well, I guess they are, ain't they? Yeah.
What is a B-52 Max?
No, wait a minute. No, I'm wrong. They're B-61s.
Right.
And B-62s is what they are. That's what they were. Instead of 51s, they were B-62. B-61 is what they were. And the one I drove was a B-61. And this is all useless trivia, but it had most of them engines were 673 cubic inch, and this one was a 707 cubic inch.
Right.
And the turbocharger on it, it had a big old humongous, not a turbocharger, a blower.
Right.
Turbocharger, yeah, it was a turbocharger. Blower's mechanical. This exhaust driven. And it set, when you close the hood down, it set right down against the thing. And it kept a burnt spot about that big on the hood. where the hood come down and touched it. But it would giddy up go, no doubt about it. But anyhow, oh, Mack just about went out of business because they built such a good piece of equipment.
Right.
And not only that, is the parts were interchangeable.
Right.
They changed the cab design in 1966 to a DM model, and that's the one that people call them sidewinders. They call them all sorts of things. But you set to the left. You didn't set over. It put you about 18 inches. Set you in line with your truck bed.
Right.
The driver. And visibility was good on them. I mean, you could really see all them things. And they run that model up to, that cab design up to about 90 or somewhere close to that. They made a few variations. They went to what they call soft nose. They went to fiberglass hood on them and different things like that. But the thing of it was, that 673 engine, you could take one out of take a 66 model and take any of the other models and bolt it right down in place, a later motor. The motor mounts and everything would line up. But anyhow, that's useless trivia to most, whatever.
In some ways, but bad for the company.
Yeah, that's right. Where you never would find them hardly sitting in a junkyard because people would feed them back through.
You know, I was reading a little book where they're putting flathead V8s in these little old Ford R 9 ends and 8 ends,
yeah,
you know,
okay.
and they're putting Chevrolet 350 engines in bigger tractors and everything, and you know, they always call for a bunch of parts.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I said to myself, if I decide to make a change, I bet I could go up here across from IGA, go to Napa Auto Parts, and get whatever I need to bolt that thing down to what I'm putting it into.
I went up there yesterday and bought 8 sparking plugs for my truck.
Really?
Runs a lot better.
But they got it, and that's, what is that number?
562
2529?
Yep.
Right. That's what you do, and of course, if you want to relieve yourself of some real money, you just call 562-26-2526, and you're going to get the mayor's office, and he'd be glad to let you make a contribution.
Well,
2529, 562
562-2529, that's Napa Auto Parts. Going in there, folks, you'll enjoy it if you need any parts.
Are you going to go to the big 4-wheel thing tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow or today?
I thought it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. I probably have to let you tell me about it.
Well,
I'm gonna be way down the road tomorrow.
I was looking to enter into the drag race part of it, where you drag race them down Main Street, and the wheelie contest. See who could do the wheelie the longest, and the demolition derby, where you're going to put them out there and all.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I ran.
But now see, they're not going to allow any of these good things.
I ran a motorcycle race.
Uh-huh.
I ran a cross-country race. I had about 200 acres, and it was very, very good terrain to run what you call cross-country race. I had about, I guess, well, around, I had 4 or 5 miles of cross-country track on that 200 acres. And I had a big 18-acre field that I would start them in down there, way back at the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get in the middle of the field and get on top of a GMC truck I had, an old, probably a 55, 56 GMC pickup truck, 3/4 ton. I'd get up on the hood, and at one race, I had 280 motorcycles entered in that race. I had to line them up double across that.
How many?
280. I had to line them up double or triple. I forget exactly how I had to do it now. But I had this 18-acre field that they would
Well, did
take
you have a
off-
truck to
they
haul
take
out
off-
the dead with?
They'd take off and get the end of, then they go into a 10-acre field and go up there, which was a little bit narrower. Then they come back down, make a left, come back down to an 8-acre field, and then they had what they called the hole shot. It didn't, but one motorcycle get through
Oh,
that hole
Lord.
going down in a dry river bed and back up. Well, we had motorcycles piled up so high you'd have to have a boom truck to get to the top of it. But we finally got all of them in motion and in line running that probably close to 5-acre track, 5-mile track, you know. And but when I dropped that flag, what I did, I held a handkerchief up. When I dropped that handkerchief, they all took off. And I'm glad I was on top of that GMC truck, because that was the awfulest conglomeration of motorcycles coming at you, you know. They go around this ride and go around that truck, you know. And we had the best time. And we'd run that thing on Saturday and on Sunday.
How many people did you get killed?
Never had anybody killed, but I had some people real seriously injured. Okay.
Somehow I'm not
we run that
surprised.
thing on Saturday, and then Saturday night, most of them would camp out down at my place along the river, and we would have what was called a midnight ramble run. And anybody want to could enter. It was $25 to enter, and we divided the prizes up among the top 4 finishers. You could not
You know,
have
the
any
survivors is what
lights.
he's
You could not
saying.
have any lights on your motorcycle, and you had to go to at certain designated places on the trail. You would go, and it's like a poker run. First one there, you get an ace of clubs. Second one, you get ace of spades. That's the high suit, and then our next one is an ace of hearts, and then an ace of diamonds, an ace of clubs, and then the king of hearts, king of spades, and everything. You get a card, you change the check point.
What happened if you didn't have enough survivors to empty the deck? What happened if you didn't have enough survivors to empty the deck?
Well, let me tell you, this one old boy, he practiced running that course at night, and he was good. So he got over there and he said, all I got to do is get out in front of the whole bunch, and he had it made, and he knew he had it made. So they lined them up, because there wasn't that big 25, 30. They had just enough to run in that thing. I run in a couple times. He got me down over one night, I turned my leg off on the exhaust pipe. But Donald, he got over there, and he got on the outside, and he says he knew it. He lived down there. He knew that course real well. The only thing he didn't realize was the guy had pulled a black band right across his face, dropped that thing right inside that band, just doubled the wheel up on that motorcycle. That injured him pretty good, you know. But he didn't know somebody pulled a black band right up across where he was going to go. But we had the most fun on that.
I bet he wasn't too happy. It was a lot of fun for him.
We never tried to run across country.
You know what you should have done? Call Vital Care.
We kept an ambulance parked down there all the time.
I'm not surprised. Maybe a hearse too.
And I had a real good friend. It was a lady doctor, and she stayed down there. She'd camp out with them. She'd party with all them motorcycle riders. And if anybody had to be patched up, she'd patch them up. But she was there for every race, you know. And so I had the motor, you know, an ambulance sat there, you know. Of course, they were funeral home ambulances then, and we'd pay them for coming out there, and they'd say all day Saturday, and they'd say Saturday night, and they'd say Sunday while we had the race. And then Dr. Wilkes, she'd be there, and he'd be there Saturday and Sunday also, you know. And, I had a real good time, you know. I had people to come and run in the race at my a place all the way from Arizona and California. I had people from La Follette up in Campbell County to come down there and race. I had the national champion of Ireland to come down there and race, and the national champion of several other European countries come down there and race. And I had the biggest motorcycle race east of the Mississippi.
562-9370 if you want somebody to come out and haul the bodies off
they
your
could have made
motorcycle
their
race.
fortune down there, Volunteer could have. But that did it for the motorcycle races. I still got a bad hip and broken bones in my left foot, and a collarbone has been put back together. So, and I think RL can tell us a little something about motorcycle accidents too, if you wanted to.
Motorcycles and cars just don't mix good. I can tell you that. when you hit when a car and a motorcycle tangle up, you know who's going to be the winner.
Oh Lord, I just like to have a dollar for every pound of skin I took off my rear end riding them things.
Yeah, Lordy. And all that experience, and what do you write a book, or what do? You know.
Right. I had one hill there. It wasn't as bad as the one they called the Widowmaker, but man, it was so you had to be a good rider to get up the hill. And I won't forget this old guy by the name of Abe. He ran a motorcycle shop in Highport, North Carolina. He tried about 4 times to go up that hill and couldn't make it. He finally was a big bull of a man. He had about a little old 150cc motorcycle or something, you know. And finally got so exasperated, he just picked it over his head and threw it all the way back down the hill. We had some good times. Like I say, if I pass on here, don't never cry for me. I've had my share of thrills and good moments in my lifetime.
562-9370 if you need an ambulance.
Right. You know,
it's
when
vital
I far
care.
down 40, they'd come to get me if I need them.
I don't know, but I'd about pay them to haul you down there myself.
All righty. You know, I think we touched all the bases, haven't we? We talked about Digger. We want to welcome Digger back. We've talked about Napa. We've talked about Demery Mark. And we've talked about vital care. The only thing we ain't talked about is circular metal.
Now here, come down here and buy you a buck box, folks. We got a buck box builder up here that's a professional. He'll build one just for you.
Right. They'll build you one of them tiny little houses if you need one.
Yeah,
and
buddy.
A lot cheaper than they build them on these TV shows.
And they build them good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're built good.
Yeah, you ever see one of them little houses? You know, the only thing I do different, I would stud out the inside wall with 2x2s, so I could run my electrical and my plumbing and stuff through there.
Huh?
How you gonna run your electrical through them walls in that little house?
Buck boxes, we don't wire them.
Huh?
We don't wire them buck boxes.
You don't worry.
Don't wire buck boxes.
No, I'm talking
Conduit.
about the little house.
Conduit.
Yeah.
Huh?
Conduit.
Okay. But I'd stud one of them out with 2x2s if I got
Well, you
one.
don't need it.
I want.
Why you need 2x2s? Why do you? There ain't no studs in it.
How you gonna go through the walls with your wiring?
You need to go look at one. There ain't no studs in it.
You're not gonna have any plug-ins?
No studs, Bob.
Huh?
There ain't no wood in the damn thing. There ain't no wood in it.
No wood.
No,
I understand that. What I was talking about is how you gonna run your electrical. If you want to plug in on the wall.
Conduit.
Down the side of the wall.
Conduit, yeah.
Because in other words, your wiring's not going to be concealed.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Well,
better.
I was going to study it out so I could conceal my wire.
Well, you'd have to put 2 walls in it. You'd have to put an inside wall.
Well, what you do is, I say you set it out against your outside wall with 2x2, was what I would do, and then I could run my electrical wires and everything through that and my plumbing.
What do you hide the 2x2 with?
Oh, you cover it with paneling or whatever.
Okay, you can do that if you want to,
Yeah.
but we don't seal the inside
I
of them.
understand that, yeah. I'm just saying,
Come
if
by
I
your
got
buck
one-
box, folks.
If I got one, I'd want to study.
Well, you can do anything. We sell you to us, really. You can do anything you want to with it.
Do what I want to with them, then. All right, folks, we're getting close to closing up here, I believe, aren't we?
Yeah, we can go anytime you want to, I reckon.
Right. Yeah, and we'll see. Well, y'all see, Ronnie and them will see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock at WLAF.
See you on the radio.
1450 and WLAF 100.9. So you can tune in at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Yep. See you.